नमस्कार, इन गोवाच्या विशेष कार्यक्रमात आपलं स्वागत. आज आपल्या स्टुडिओमध्ये आहेत कन्झ्युमर कोर्टचे रिटायर्ड जज धनंजय जोग सर. नुकतेच ते रिटायर झाले. गेली 19 वर्ष त्यांनी आपली सेवा बजावलेली आहे. त्यांचा हा प्रवास कसा होता, कोणकोणते अनुभव आले त्यांना, कोणकोणते चॅलेंजेस त्यांनी फेस केले, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आज आपण त्यांच्याकडून जाणून घेणार आहोत. जोग सर, धन्यवाद तुम्ही आम्हाला वेळ दिल्याबद्दल. तुमचा हा प्रवास आम्हाला ऐकायला आवडेल. गेली 19 वर्ष तुम्ही सेवा बजावली, कोणकोणते अनुभव आले तुम्हाला, कोणकोणते चॅलेंजेस तुम्ही फेस केले, हे नक्कीच आम्हाला ऐकायला आवडेल.
धन्यवाद यती,
थँक्यू
तुमच्या प्रॉमिनंट चॅनलवर मला बोलवल्याबद्दल.
थँक्यू सर. थेट प्रश्न विचारेन मी, सगळ्या ऑडियन्सपर्यंत तुमचा मेसेज पोचला पाहिजे म्हणून आपण इंग्रजीमधूनच संवाद करूया. फर्स्ट आय वुड लाईक टू नो हाऊ वॉज युअर जर्नी ऑफ 19 years?
Yes, it was quite an eventful journey. A lot of interesting things happened, mostly good, some difficult, but we journeyed through them all successfully.
Okay.
मला साथ सुद्धा मिळाली. I got company of my colleagues, of my seniors all throughout.
For a common people, for civilians like us, we have never heard about a judge who belongs to consumers, right?
Okay.
So what this judge does for consumers?
Yes. In fact, that's an interesting question because we are not really called judges. Technically, we are judges. We are passing judgments. But to make it easier for the common man, these people posted at district or state or even at national level are called members and the president.
Okay.
They're called members of the Consumer Commission.
Okay.
So just so that a common person is not frightened to go before a judge,
Okay.
they're called members of the Consumer Commissions, or as in case, President of the Consumer Commission.
Sir, I would like to know how all this movement has started when it comes to consumer.
Okay.
Indians are very much are buyers.
Yes.
They love shopping, and most of the time they get cheated. So the movement, how the Indians got to know that they got cheated, and how the movement started.
Yes. Not only in India, but let me tell you, cheating is a universal phenomenon. Right in the US also, many years back, a particular activist found that car manufacturers are not revealing the causes of accidents. They are not revealing the defects in their cars which caused accidents. So he started going after the car manufacturers and pointing out the defects in their vehicles, in their brake system, etc., in their engines. So the consumer movement started that time. In fact, it started before that time also. In 1962, John F. Kennedy, then the popular president of the US, he in front of the Senate, which is their parliament, he said consumers should be given their rights. So since 62, this started slowly building up all over the world. And in about 1984, the United Nations passed a resolution saying all member nations should adopt consumer laws to protect the customers, to protect the buyers.
So the movement actually started in 62, and in 82 it got...
In around 85, I would say, the act got... In India, we adopted the act in 1986. But for us Indians, I would like to share an interesting piece of truth. The first consumer that I know who fought for his rights is none other than our own Mahatma Gandhi ji.
Is it?
Yes. If you remember the famous story, it was shown in the movie also, and it is there in his autobiography, it is there in various stories about him. He, as a black person in South Africa, purchased a first class ticket of a train.
Okay.
And was trying to travel in it.
Yes.
But he was offloaded at a particular station just because white people wanted to sit in the first class. So even if he had paid for a first class ticket, his luggage and he were thrown out on the platform. He took that up very strongly, and that is how the whole resistance movement, first in Africa and then in India, started. So I would say he was the first consumer who fought for his rights.
सरांनी खूप इंटरेस्टिंग आपल्याला गोष्ट सांगितलेली आहे. आपले मराठी प्रेक्षक जे असतील त्यांना मी सांगेन की सरांच्या मताप्रमाणे की आपल्या हक्कासाठी कन्झ्युमर राईट्ससाठी पहिले जे लढणारे व्यक्ती होते ते महात्मा गांधी. ती स्टोरी सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे, ती गोष्ट सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे की ट्रेनची तिकीट आणि ज्या पद्धतीनं त्यांचा अपमान करण्यात आला होता आणि त्याच्यासाठी त्यांनी जो लढा दिला नंतर, आणि आज आपल्यासमोर हा इतिहास आहे. सर, खूप चांगली माहिती दिली तुम्ही. त्याशिवाय हाऊ हॅज बीन द जर्नी ऑफ कन्झ्युमर्स राईट्स सिन्स देन? Like now we are into 21st century.
Yes.
So the awareness has been there in India, or we are
The
still lagging
awareness,
behind?
of course, to speak of the whole of India, I would say the awareness is partly there, but there is a lot more to go. A lot of India stays in the villages, in small towns, where there is only sometimes a single shop. You go to purchase a toothpaste, and a toothpaste named Goldgate instead of Colgate, Colgate instead of that, duplicate toothpaste named as Goldgate is sold to you. Most consumers are unfortunately not even aware of this. In a village, an uneducated lady, she may not know this. She is thinking she is buying Colgate toothpaste, which is a more or less
Similar
standard brand.
packing.
Yeah, similar packing, similar colors. These companies who get affected are also fighting so that they do not lose their business. Their name does not get spoiled. But more than that, we consumers have to start fighting. Now, at least in towns and cities, this awareness is there. But I think in villages, it may not be that much. Fortunately, in Goa, we have an educated base of consumers, educated base of citizens. So even in Goan villages, this awareness would be there. It would not be that easy to hoodwink a Goan consumer.
Okay. Sir, now I would like to know the day when you got this responsibility of taking the rights of consumers.
Yes.
How it began and what was in your mind when taking the responsibility?
Let me share with you frankly, Yati. The day when I began, I was more ignorant about consumer cases than you are today. I was totally ignorant.
Okay.
I took it as a responsibility, though my background till then was not of consumer or even law. My background was that of an engineer.
Okay.
Yes. But that is an interesting thing about the Consumer Act, is that a person with a non-legal background can also be a member or a participant.
Acha.
What happened is I took up this assignment as a member at the district level. Fortunately for me, I had a very good state commission president, Justice B.V. Rao, who has since passed away. He used to hold meetings of all members of both the districts, North Goa and South Goa, as well as state commission members. In his first meeting, I excused myself, asked permission to stay for 2 more minutes, and I asked him, "Sir, how should I handle consumer cases? How should I write judgments? Should I make decisions?" He told me something which very interesting, which remained with me throughout my life. He told me, "Do you believe in God?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Whichever God you believe in, just imagine that God is a bit busy. So his own work, a little bit of it he has handed over to you. Think that you are doing God's work on his behalf and you will not go wrong." I made sure that consciously I should not do injustice, and that guided me, and probably that philosophy helped all my orders to come out very successful, in the sense that many of them were upheld by my seniors, approved by my seniors, upheld by senior courts, upheld by appellate courts, right up to the Supreme Court sometimes.
Okay. Which was the first case, sir, which you handled?
Yes, the first matter which was given to me was that of an encroachment on property. A certain builder had built a building which he had sold flats to different buyers, and when he sold, he had shown a certain area as a parking area for the benefit of these flat buyers. But later on, after he had built a building, he said, "This parking area is no more yours. So you do not have parking." and then he kept them outside. Their parking was outside. So they found association and found a consumer case. We resolved that most interestingly by personally going to the site. The builder claimed that there is encroachment, and hence he had to use the parking area to come and go to his house next door. We thought that there is no encroachment, he could go through some other way, and hence we made sure that the parking area was given to the flat buyers.
Sir, since you said you do not have a background of law, and even then you have accepted the challenge,
Yes.
Were there studies, homework from your side?
Yes. Of course, when I say I did not have a background of law, this is truth as far as 2004 was concerned when I joined.
Okay.
But as soon as I was selected and I joined, I immediately joined law college, which was next door to my house.
Okay.
And since I had to go to the commission only in the afternoons, I attended law college in the morning, and in the afternoon I went to and I did part, if not full, of my law studies.
Sir, we would like to know when it comes to a consumer right, who is a consumer and how to differentiate the consumers?
Right. Anybody who pays is obviously a consumer. You very rightly said that buying a product, you become a consumer. But that alone does not end the story. A service that you are hired, for example, you buy a bus ticket or you pay for a courier, you buy an airline ticket. You have not purchased the airline, you have not even purchased the seat on the airline, but you have purchased the right to sit on that seat and fly from, say, Goa to Bangalore. That right, if it is not given, then your consumer rights are violated.
Okay.
Another instance I could give is, you are a young lady. If you have a child and if you have bought something for her or him, then that thing has been bought by you for the child. So he is or she is the beneficiary. You buy a packet of biscuits or you buy a packet of milk for him, and then he is the consumer, but he is the beneficiary because you are paid for it. If there is some product defect, then the shopkeeper cannot say you are not the consumer. He cannot say to you, you are not the consumer. Or he cannot, if I represent that child, he cannot say to me, the child is not a consumer. Somebody else has purchased it. So a beneficiary is also a consumer.
So in that case, even if I hire any service and if I pay for the service, I'm a consumer.
Yes.
And in that case also, if I get cheated, if I'm not getting the service which I have mentioned or required,
Yes.
So I have a full right to go in a consumer court and ask
Absolutely.
for my right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not only that, there are instances where you have not paid. For example, let's take an example in Goa. You hire a taxi to go from here, say Panjim to Madgaon.
Okay.
You hire a yellow top or a tourist taxi. You haven't paid. You will pay after reaching the destination. He will look at the meter or he will tell you, Patana itle zale. This much is your fare. And you will pay at that stage. What happens, suppose he makes you get down halfway. Go away. I want to go somewhere else. Then if you file a consumer case against him, he will say, this lady was never a consumer because she never paid me. But the fact that you promised to pay him, and hence he took you, promising you to take up to Madgaon, that means you are a consumer.
Sir, my question might be immature, but in such cases, there are no evidence.
Yes.
Like, for example, which you had given us, if I hire a taxi,
Yes.
he doesn't take me to my destination,
Yes.
drops me in the middle, and I have no evidence that I have
Correct.
paid him. What should be the
Yes.
first step?
But see, ideally one should gather as much evidence as is available. But as you very rightly said, in certain cases, evidence may not be available. When you go to your neighborhood grocer, for example, and you buy a packet of bread, 30-40 rupees, there is no bill given.
Yes.
Same thing in a taxi. He may give you a bill after you pay him on reaching if you have to claim it from your company or something, or from the government. But so far you only promised. So there is no evidence. There is no 100% evidence. However, Consumer Commission takes care of these factors.
Okay.
This is not a criminal case. This is not a murder case where 100% clear evidence is required.
Okay.
Circumstantial evidence, paristhiti's evidence, evidence from your husband, for example, or your neighbor saying my wife or my friend started for Madgaon, and then she came back halfway, a bit sad and crying, saying I was dropped. I could not go to Madgaon in time for my interview.
Okay. Yeah.
So all these circumstances will be taken into consideration.
Okay. And I think, as you said, the billing plays a very important role in such cases. Most of the time, sometimes we buy a bread,
Yes.
and when we come home, we find that it is expired.
Defective, yes.
Yeah, and we don't have any. The seller might say this is not been bought from our shop.
Yes.
So taking bill after every purchase is a must. You think?
I do not think so, because sometimes it's not practical.
Okay.
It's not practical. You buy a 30 rupees packet of milk, or a 10 rupees bottle of water, 20 rupees bottle of water. There's no bill given.
Okay.
So it practically is not possible. In a supermarket, yes, you buy a whole list of
Yes.
basket full of products, and then they may print out a bill. But an individual grocer does not make bills.
Yeah.
So practically, though it is not possible, this circumstantial evidence is taken into consideration.
Okay. And
Where possible, do take a bill if the amount is high. In the sense, for a 50 rupee bread, fine, you can do without a bill. But if you are buying a 25,000 rupee television set, then if you don't take a bill, then it would be a mistake on your side. You must take a bill.
okay.
And he would also have time to make out a bill to you when he is getting 25,000 rupees.
Okay,
So,
so in that case, what should a consumer do while buying any product or
Yes.
any service? First, I would like to ask any product, because
Yes.
we usually go and buy things for us.
Yes. So as I said, in small products, I mean, we cannot define a certain value, but in small everyday products, Colgate toothpaste, purchase instantly because the one at home is got over. You can't wait for a bill. You also don't want to wait for a bill.
Yes.
You'll buy it and bring it immediately. People are waiting to brush their teeth. So you can forget the bill in those cases. Then the circumstantial evidence will help. But as I said earlier, a high value product, do insist on a bill. If you're buying furniture for your house, if you're buying a TV set, if you're buying a car, of course you must have a bill. Otherwise your case would become weak. It becomes unbelievable to buy a 5 lakh rupee car and not have a bill.
Okay, and
That is where the basic common sense of a person should help.
and maximum we can just check the expiry date and
Yes,
every
yes.
amount and everything.
Amount and all can be checked here.
Okay. So last tip which you would like to give to the audience, because we have less time and
Okay.
we are coming up with more episodes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any tips for the consumers?
Yes, I would like to tell consumers is to fight for your rights. Do not give up even a small amount, because as some great saint said, if somebody hits you on one cheek, then it was said that you turn the other cheek so that the person gets ashamed and he will not dare to slap you again. But then that does not always happen. If you allow yourself to be cheated for 15 rupees, then the shopkeeper who has cheated you gets encouraged. Next he will cheat me. Next he will cheat him. Next he will cheat. In the end, he would have cheated 1,000 people.
Correct.
And at least you and me are educated and strong enough. We should be able to protest. But then he will cheat the poor, uneducated people who do not have a voice. So if we protest today, then these poor people will not be protected tomorrow.
Correct.
So everybody fight for your rights.
थँक्यू सर. तर हे होते धनंजय जोग सर, ज्यांनी 19 वर्ष कन्झ्युमर कोर्टचे जज म्हणून आपली सेवा बजावलेली आहे. ते आता रिटायर्ड झाले आहेत आणि त्यांचे अनुभव त्यांनी हाताळलेले केसेस, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आम्ही तुमच्यासमोर घेऊन येणार आहोत. आज फक्त आपण एक इंट्रोडक्टरी चर्चा केली की कन्झ्युमर राईट्स म्हणजे काय, कन्झ्युमर कोण असतो आणि त्याचे हक्क काय असतात, ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आज आपण जाणून घेतल्या आहेत. त्यांच्याशी पुढच्या एपिसोडमध्ये आपण एक एक असे केस घेणार आहोत जे स्वतः त्यांनी जजमेंट दिलेले आहेत, ते केस आम्ही घेणार आहोत. सर, नेक्स्ट एपिसोडला आम्ही पुन्हा भेटणार आहोत. तुम्ही जे केसेस हाताळलेले आहेत त्याच्यावरती आम्ही चर्चा करणार आणि नक्कीच आम्हाला तुमच्याकडून त्या गोष्टी ऐकायला आवडतील आणि लोकही जागृत होतील, सतर्क होतील. ह्या एपिसोडमुळे अशी आपण आशा बाळगूया आणि आजचा कार्यक्रम इथेच थांबूया. सर, धन्यवाद. पुढच्या एपिसोडला पुन्हा भेटू. सर,
थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.